Well, hi everybody. Gary Sinclair back in the States for another day. If you follow my journey overseas, however, earlier this month, you know I was in Kyrgyzstan for a conference with faith leaders from a variety of Russian-speaking countries. I first started this post actually sitting in a travel lounge during a 18-hour layover in Dubai. That meant I had to leave my lodging at 3:15 in the morning to catch my first flight to Dubai, then leave there at 2 a.m. the next morning to get to Indy through Newark. Total trip time heading home, almost 48 hours. And if you were thinking international travel is glamorous, hey, forget it. And yet I had an awesome time with some really wonderful, very committed, eager worshipers in a setting that challenged me every day about some basic things that I'm blessed with and some ways that I need to be a little more thankful. I thought I'd share a few with you today. Parking lots. Yeah, many facilities in that part of the world have few convenient places to park, at least legally. And you usually have to walk a ways to get to the entrance for wherever you're headed. We can get upset, though, when we have to walk, a few extra steps in the rain or the cold. Once again, I was reminded to not gripe so much when I have to walk a little further to my car, the one of two that I'm also fortunate to own. Another impacting thing was their cross-cultural ministry. You know, many of the churches here in America reach across ethnic and societal lines as well, as they should. But overseas, Christians seem to make that a more natural thing. The man who took me to the airport the day I left shared stories about his organization's passion for sharing the gospel in some of the most challenging places. And I thought again of Matthew 28, go into all the world and preach the gospel. They were doing it. Another impression was seeing how people make do while still hoping for more when they can get it. Let's face it, in America, we're blessed with access and ease and affordability of equipment, resources, and amenities in general. We've got stores and ordering options in most every community, so that when we run out, replacements are pretty easily available. But even in Dubai, one of the largest and most modern airports in the world, some things, like the bathrooms, are surprisingly Spartan. Many times people and groups in other countries struggle to just have the basics, much more so to improve their situation. So they do their best with what they have, knowing it could be a long time before they get more. Paul spoke of this in Philippians 4:11. I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. They've done that. And then there's their commitment to faith. In Dubai, as I was writing the initial lines for this blog, a family was just across the small room where we could rest and wait for our next flight. Well, there was this woman feeding a little boy, and her husband was there with a small rug, praying and bowing down to the floor, no doubt of the Muslim faith. He apparently didn't care that I was sitting 8 feet away and that he might be interrupting my concentration or prayers. And frankly, it didn't bother me. But his commitment, right or wrong, won the day for him. And his wife started the process about 10 minutes later. I had to admire their seriousness about prayer, whether it was a habit or chosen. And then Christian worship is done in some of the worst, hardest, or discouraging settings, and I was reminded of that again. This past week, I was privileged to get to play keys with several worship leaders at the conference. Now, of course, I've been part of dozens of worship settings like I enjoyed there, but all I can say is that these people worship with a passion for the God they serve, the Savior who saved them, and the Spirit who gives them the power to be and do more than they can ask or think. At times, they seemed kind of overwhelmed by God's presence, and it was very powerful. As Psalm 48:10 says, praise reaches to the ends of the earth. Maybe the overarching lesson for me was that God is at work no matter the location, the method, or the people group. But willingness and commitment and thankfulness and an ultimate focus on the eternal over the temporal are pretty important. I know I'd like to exhibit those qualities a bit more. Although, you know what? Bigger parking lots sure do help my attitude. More next time.